Sunday morning. Well, it's got bitterly cold over the past few days. There was what appeared to be snow, but I think it was very thick hail yesterday. You can see from the photographs I've posted here. But it's a beautiful morning. I mean, the thing about the weather, it is typical spring. You know, where you get 4 seasons in one day. Sorry, I'm just putting the door behind me here. So, the work continues anyway. I had one of my grandsons around yesterday to fit 2 new water barrels. So there's this one, which replaces that big open top blue thing that I had there for, well, yeah, 17 years. So that's there. Now it's got a proper lid on it and everything, and that should be a lot safer, you know, for the wildlife. Because I did take a bat out of that blue water butt at one point. Saved it, but only just. And the other one as well has been replaced. So a good investment, I think. So I've now got 2 covered, properly functioning water butts. You can see there's a lot of frost on the plants this morning. Let's go over to the vegetable garden and have a look. I've moved the little bird feeder to this side of the arch, simply to discourage Mr. Ratty. I don't want to actually actively encourage him. He gets all the little bits that are dropped down there. And the thing about rats, they're very intelligent, but they have a few little faults. One of them is that they don't like change very much. They find it difficult coping with change. So if you just switch things about a little bit, it gives you a week or so before they figure it out. But interesting, because you see up there, look, there's a bird's nest at the top of the arch. So that's 2 birds' nests in here. So even the decorative archway functions as a really good habitat for birds and other wildlife. So here's my frozen vegetable garden. As you can see, I've finished the wattle fencing now on the far side, and I have a little bit more to do on the fence at the top. I've got to put the willow on the top of that. And I've got more compost to spread. Doesn't take long for the rhubarb to pick up, you know, when the sun hits it. And the same here with the chamomile. So I've got a lovely day's work ahead of me now, and I'm looking up there at the sycamore, and there's big thick buds on it, and the leaves are coming out on the twisted willow. It's promised to be a gorgeous day. So part of the plan for getting the new water butts was to bring the 2 big water barrels over here that I can then just hand fill from excess water on the other side, and make sure that during the dry part of the summer, which comes every year, the polytunnel here behind me is kept watered. Because I can't take any water from the spring well, which is feeding this barrel here, because the spring well also gets quite low, so I have to be very, very frugal with my use of water. There's Jack standing down beside the old ash tree near the big rebirthed rowan. That's his favourite spot, I think. Well, one of his favourite spots. Oh, and that was the pheasant. So, I have just finished the new vegetable garden. Here we go, look at this. I finished the little wattle fencing. So you can see on the bottom there's the beech, which of course won't root. Then there's the dogwood, which could root, but it's not touching the earth. And then the willow on top, the very thick bits of the willow. So that's really holding the whole thing down and making it really strong. So I filled in the rest of the, over the top of the curtain membrane with compost, and evened up some of the edging on the pathway and filled in the dip that was there, because there's a natural dip there because it's all sloping. Put some more bark in and around here, and very pleased with the whole thing so far. Now, I didn't put a membrane along the edge on the back of the rhubarb, so there will be a little bit of the creeping buttercup come through, but it's going to struggle to come through, and then it'll be much weakened and thus easier to pull or dig out, get rid of. So now I'm going to be planting into the bottomless pots, and I'll explain what they are. So these are the bottomless pots. Makes quite an interesting little lens, doesn't it? And the reason why I started to use them, again, a very functional, practical reason. When I first constructed the potager beds, which are over there, which now have flowers and plants and whatnot in, when I first constructed those beds, I had very little compost, because that was quite a few years back when I constructed them. And I wanted to plant them out with vegetables, but vegetables, as you know, need to have quite a lot of root space, you know. So I came up with the idea of bottomless pots, so I could plant the vegetable, whether it was a tomato plant or pumpkin or whatever it was, into the bottomless pot, which then would be sitting on top of the earth. So the roots could then spread easily and gain as much nutrition as the plant needed. So that's the concept behind bottomless pots. And it worked perfectly. So during the first year of this vegetable garden, that's what I'm going to be using, because I've just put this soil over the top of the curtain membrane, and I don't want to dig a hole through the membrane, because that would defeat the whole object of having the membrane down. It is to keep the weeds out of this bed, and as I explained at the beginning of this project, there are some very strong weeds and plants, like the raspberry, for example, and the meadowsweet. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes during the course of the summer. It's a very functional little bed. I'm just walking through it now, and it feels comfortable. It feels easy to access on both sides. Getting up here to the end, I can quite easily reach over there and plant in. And yeah, so just standing here on the edge of the path and looking back. And the rhubarb now looks in place. Before it looked a bit out of place. So here we go. Now the previous vegetable garden that I had in here, which is quite a few years back, it's on the videos, I only had a cardboard membrane down. And as you know, cardboard will keep things back for about a season. But over and above that, really, you know, things are going to come through unless you keep piling up the compost. So it's going to be interesting to see how these cotton curtains as a membrane work. I love these little ongoing projects, because I learn so much from them. and it allows me then to speak with some kind of authority on what it is I do, rather than just put my head into someone else's video or someone else's book and repeat verbatim what it is they're saying. Anything that I impart to you really is coming from my own experience, which is the true permaculture way. So I'm going to start planting into here perhaps today. I have another couple of little projects that I want to add to this, so watch this space. So just a final shot of the vegetable garden from this path here. I'm just stood at the little crossroads. And it's taken me working on my own on this project what is it, 3-4 days, something like that. Less than a week from beginning to end. I like the look of it. I think it fits in really well with the woodland garden. And really shows you that you can put a little vegetable garden anywhere.